What's up? Welcome to my 34th flight. This was my first flight in Valle De Bravo, Mexico. The next video that I upload will be a compilation and a little bit more information about this site itself. But this video is just my first flight with some thoughts that I recorded the night of in the hotel room in Valle De Bravo, Mexico.
Me llamo Slowrider. What's up? This is my first time flying in another country out here at Valle De Bravo. It is a pretty stunning launch. The cycles are crazy coming in. I was just waiting here for minutes and minutes and minutes with Willie, hanging out, and then finally a cycle comes. It's looking pretty straight. I'm like, okay, we're gonna go for it. Little bit of a pop there, kept on running, and it's just crazy. This high altitude stuff, man, it's way different. You gotta run faster. It wasn't as much of a deal as I thought it would be, honestly, but it was still just like, all right, pretty different, pretty different. Got the little telltale there, flopping around, and if you'll notice, not the usual glider. So renting a glider down here is really cool. We got to check out the Wheels Wing factory today, and got this like glider that's basically brand new. It's kind of like, damn, I'm working with an older glider. Actually, I realized I thought it was in good shape, and then testing this thing out, it's got the Mylar wing instead of the Dacron. It's just like, I don't know, it's like feels like a nice tight sheet of plastic, and it's just totally different vibe. But it was creaking a little bit. That was a little bit unnerving, but figuring it out, and yeah, just kind of poking around here, trying to find some lift. We intentionally launched pretty late in the day here. Pretty gnarly cycles throughout the day in a place like Valle. So first flight, don't want to risk it too much. Just kind of come out here and get a nice chill-ish launch, chill-ish landing, and get familiar with the site. So super glad with that. Apologies if my voice sounds a little bit off. I'm getting over a cold. And just right on the mark there, that is El Pénon, that nice big looking rock. And I've seen pictures of it and whatnot, and seen it in some other pilots' videos, and it looks cool, and I think it does look cool even on this video. But I gotta say, in person, it is wild. It's like half dome size. It's freaking huge and just absolutely beautiful here. I just remember looking down around here, and I was just like, damn, dude, like, we're in the jungle, man. This is different. So love that view there. I'm honestly not looking at it too much. So big thing on this flight, well, you can see that my backup hang loop there is really flapping around in the wind. So I'm using an extension on my other loop, and then that's going through the backup and the primary that the extension is attached to. Totally legit setup, but it looks a little funky right now. But yeah, huge thing I noticed on this flight was my head just felt like it was like 2 feet below my feet. I think I should have just cleated up a little bit. I was kind of nervous, had Willie on the radio a little bit, which was a huge help, just kind of being like, hey, go a little this way for the thermal, go a little that. And there's just, so much going on, and I'm still jet lagged, and this elevation, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna mess with this cleat in flight. We had tried messing around with it quite a bit up at the launch, and I think it's getting closer to dialed in, but definitely not 100%. So it was good to kind of just get that perspective of like, all right, no matter how much you mess with it, it's gonna be what it is. And just looking at it now, it's kind of like, okay, yeah, my head does look a little bit low, and it felt low, and I still can't tell if it's like a me thing, or if it's like how we adjusted my harness in other ways, or like my shoulders aren't as flexible, or like why it just doesn't feel right, but I just can't get that dang thing dialed. So I'm just cruising out around here. I had a couple little pockets of lift. Looking back at the Wingman tracking app, I'll throw that up on screen right now. We can see that I was kind of flirting with getting inside the thermals, but I was like basically perfectly hitting it 50-50, which I found pretty funny looking at after the fact. So big thing I was talking with Willie and Roger down at the bottom of this one was just doing flatter, slower turns when or I guess not slower, but fatter, wider, less steep turns when we're looking for thermals was the big advice takeaway on this one. So we're less likely to bounce out of them and just get more lift from the thermal versus, just being in a steeper wing over, not getting as much actual power out of the thermal because there's just not a lot of wing available to catch it. And so just looking at these turns here, I totally see what he's talking about, and just flatten those out a little bit when I'm on the search. But yeah, absolutely stoked with this glider. Love the colors, super fun switching it up, and getting me excited about a new glider someday. It's definitely a ways down the road for me. I think I'm happy with the Falcon, and feels like it'll be good amount of time before I'm looking at getting a higher performance glider, but someday can have a nice crispy fresh wing. So it's really cool to rent one down here and get that experience. It was pretty wild to me setting up the glider. Just everything fit much better. I'm realizing I need to adjust my battens, probably shorten them up a little bit so I'm not forcing them in as much. And just, you know, the glider doesn't have to be forced into the bag. There's plenty of space. One of the wilder things I noticed with this sail material compared to mine is it was like crinkling during the flight. And I mean, I didn't really doubt it, the integrity of it, but it took a sec to get used to. I was like, oh, it's a neat little sound there. It's interesting. So we can just start to see here, well, I'm turning away from it now, but there's this giant black, darker little valley thing there. And so you got the big mesa, and that's where the landing zones are. So there's the piano bar hangar area, and then the main LZ, which has fantastic taco stand. I loaded up on 3 massive like tacos with some cheese and avocado. Is amazing. It's like $8 or whatever. If you're watching this video in 2070, then you're gonna be like, damn, that's really cheap. Coming out here, we did like a nice walk around with Willie. He's like, just you really don't want to end up in that darker region, you know, just go where everything you see that the light touches is safe, basically type of vibe. So stay away from that. You don't want to land in those steep trees. And so I'm coming in here, I'm pretty high. The LZ is about 5,800. I was looking over at the altimeter and I'm like, okay, I'm 800,000 feet above LZ here. Like way above a 45-degree angle from my landing point. But it's about time to start thinking about getting ready. So just making sure everything's feeling good, doing a little zip check, make sure I remember where all those things are. So in the case that it does get a little hairy here, I'm ready to go. And I'm glad I did that just because there's actually quite a bit of wind. And it blew me away, and I'll play this clip right now, but we saw these crazy dust devils when we were just walking around the landing zone, checking things out, and it was magical looking. It's like Twister's 3 vibe, just watching those corn husks just go straight up, and it was crazy to see that. Just Willie was saying you can see him in the air sometimes, like flying, so fingers crossed to see one of those because it'll mean I'm in a good thermal, and it just sounds wild, man. Like freaking corn husks blown by when you're flying is pretty cool. And so I'm kind of coming out here, I see the windsocks, you know, fully up. I know it's pretty good headwind, so doing a couple of these turns. We can see the ground speed picking up when I'm downwind here, but I'm getting some beeps on the Vario. It's like, it's kind of working. And we were talking about just like, yeah, you really don't want to land. If the glider doesn't want to land, you probably shouldn't land it. I'm probably butchering the wording on that, but it's basically like, if you're getting good lift, it's going to be a hard landing because you got some strong thermic conditions on the ground. And so, you know, just keep on flying, man. Like, just take advantage of that lift and wait for things to calm down. If you're going up, go up, don't fight it. So I kind of re-zip there a little bit. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to fight it. We're along for the ride here and just going to do what I can. Pretty crazy with that headwind, just how fast I drift back. And so that's something I was really trying to watch, and kind of had to work my way back up a few times here on these turns because it's just like, damn, really getting knocked back. And so Willie was saying, just focusing more on flying upwind more and then making that downwind turn just really tight. Just a really nice little button hook and don't pull it out for too long. As we can see, I'm flying in the t-shirt. I got pants on underneath this. I considered putting on the long sleeve or some arm protector just for the sun and whatnot. UV was like 9 today, which is way more than I'm used to. So I don't have any arm sunscreen, but you know, this ended up just being a glorified sledder, so it all worked out, and it's pretty freeing feeling just having the t-shirt flapping in the wind. I think I'm gonna do something about that telltale tomorrow, just seeing how much it slid down throughout the course of this flight. I could see that just kind of being in the peripheral and in the way. And speaking of peripheral, just with the head angle that I had, I felt like I couldn't see the horizon at all. I was starting to get a little bit airsick, and so something I was talking with Willie about was like, maybe it's my goggles. And so tomorrow I'm gonna check out and see if maybe I should not be using those goggles and get a glasses set up or something. So coming in here, I'm really happy with how this approach turned out. Really trying to lock in on that 45, trying not to cross over back behind. There's a fence at the top of this LZ, and it's actually a slightly downhill LZ, so you really just want to fly it out. And so I think my approach was honestly really dialed in, but old habits die hard, and I just went for a big old flare here. And if I just held it like before the flare, if I had just kept on cruising, would have been big chilling. But instead we get that pretty solid little pop up there, and glad I had the knee pads on. I mean, I wear them mostly for the comfort in flight, but if they're gonna save an impact at the bottom there, it's why not? So just kiting it over. There's a bunch of, well, early in the day there was a bunch of kids helping tear down gliders. There was just this one little guy here, and he was super eager, but I just wanted to try out tearing this glider down because it's my first time using these little speed tab things on the glider. So I was like, I had no gracias. We'll check it out tomorrow. I'll get the assist from some of the locals, and yeah, super great flight. Super stoked to be hang gliding in another country. It's pretty wild that I'm even here doing this and recording this the day of the flight, and it's been a pretty cool journey, man. So thanks for watching, and
No, gracias.